Well, I will call to order the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District Board of Directors meeting for October 14th, 2021. And welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. And hello, Monroe County residents who are watching. So we begin with our roll call of the board members.
Munson,
Here.
Thomas,
Here.
Githens,
Here.
Hamilton, Piedmont Smith, Jones, Swafford.
Here.
Have a quorum.
Thank you, quorum makers. We have not too long an agenda today, and really only one action item. So let's breeze through the beginning part. We have included in your packets meetings of the executive committee for August 30th. And then we have meetings from the board of directors meeting of September 9th, 2021. Could we have a motion for approval of the board of directors minutes?
I move to approve the Board of Directors meeting minutes from September 9th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Does anybody have any corrections or comments on these minutes? I'm seeing no hands raised. We'll then move for approval with a roll call vote.
Githens,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Munson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Moving on now to the controller's report. We have first cash flows to be presented by Ms. Kathy Martin.
On page 7 of the packet, the cash flow summary is there. As of September 30th, the ending balance in the accounts are as follows. The operating account balance is $1,859,007.78. The savings account balance is $1,248.91. Closure bond debt was $29,854.53. Capital account balance was $45,413.60, and the landfill post-closure account was $759,259.07. The individual cash flow statements follow that on pages 8 through 14. The cash balance graph is on page 10. Are there any questions on the cash flow statements before we look at the claims for approval?
I would like to have clarification on the first page 7, and to make sure I understand this right. In the second column, it's revenue year to date as of September 30th. And I believe that is all interest, is that correct?
For which account?
In each of the funds. So the revenue, do we have revenue in the operating fund that comes from various payments, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. In the savings, the only revenue is interest payments. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How about the closure debt fund?
There's the only revenues on there are the taxes.
Are the taxes?
No interest or miscellaneous revenue for
Okay.
that account.
Okay. And also landfill post closure. What is the source of revenue there?
It's interest on the investments.
So that's entirely interest too.
Interest and dividends on the investments.
Okay.
And that's
So-
broken out on the cash flow statement. You can see the different months, and there's gain on investments and dividends and market value adjustments that's shown on
Yeah,
that to show the differences in the that makes up the amount of income.
so,
And that's on
Okay.
page 14 for that one.
so I think our director and comptroller have done very well investing the revenue that we have available to invest and to bring more revenue into the district than we had been receiving in the past. So that is certainly a great step by this board. Are there any other questions or comments about the cash flow? Okay, let's move on to approvals of claims, and we'll need a motion, please.
On
I
page,
move
go ahead.
approval of the cash flow, payroll and claims. Can I do them all that at once?
You know, I think we just approved payroll and claims. The
Okay,
cash flow is a report.
okay. So I move approval of the cash flows report.
If I may,
Yes,
I think historically, the motion has been made after the payroll and claims have been presented, so we have the amounts.
Okay,
Okay,
On page 15, we have a listing of the pre-approved claims in the amount of $123,133.55. The backup documentation follows for those on pages 16 through 25. And yesterday I sent an email with the current weekly claims in the amount of $14,759.60. That brings the total of claims for approval for the week or for this meeting to $137,893.15. Are there any questions about any of the claims?
so I'm
Hey.
looking, can you tell us what page that's on, Miss Martin?
Which one? The 15 is the listing of pre-approved claims, and that's the 4 weeks that were pre-approved.
Yeah.
And that's starting, 9/15, 9/22, 9/29, and 10/6. And then the backup for those follows on pages 16 to 25.
Mhm.
And then yesterday I sent the email with the weekly claims.
Right. I think we all saw that. So the total amount, is that listed on any particular page?
The total amount is not, because we did not have the weekly claims at the time we sent the packet out. We didn't have this week's claims to include in that.
Right, okay. Can you give us that number again so we can put that in the motion, please?
Sure. The total amount of claims for approval is $137,893.15.
Okay. So first of all, Ms. Githens?
I was going to ask, and this is for Tom, not for Kathy. Looked like there were at least 2 different repairs on Bobcat. Is that for a single Bobcat? And is this Bobcat reaching the end of its usable life?
That unfortunately is the same Bobcat. And yes, we probably are approaching decision time on that piece of equipment. We actually have a second Bobcat that's out at the landfill, and I was talking with Lee and Joey today about that. The one at the landfill is rarely ever used, so we're considering bringing that down to the recycling center to see have the mechanic look at it and see if it's a better piece of equipment. And if we need to swap those out or, take 2 and make 1 good one out of, or if it's just time to look at replacing something.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we talked about this in the executive committee meeting, so are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we're ready for a motion then.
I move that we accept the payroll and claims in the amount of $137,893.15.
Second.
Is there any further discussion by board members? Is there any public comment? Please use the raise hand symbol if you have this. We are ready then for a roll call vote.
Thomas,
Yes.
Munson,
Yes,
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you. Next on our agenda is item 5, a resolution to amend the district approved vendor list. This is something that we do every year, or at least maybe every other year, so that we keep a current list of vendors and they can be promptly paid when they provide services. So Mr. McGlasson, would you like to introduce this?
Certainly, as Ms. Munson indicated, this is a housekeeping item that we do roughly annually. I think it's been 16, 18 months since we last did it, but this is the list of the vendors that we are allowed to pay in between board meetings with the approval of the board chair, that are then brought back at the meeting for final approval by the full board. And it's just something that we have to update periodically. We have new vendors that we do business with, old vendors that we no longer. This one, I think there's 3 name changes that have occurred that we had to do on this one. And you can see on page 30 of the packet is the list of the new vendors added and the current vendors we're asking to remove.
Ms. Githens, would you cover this with a motion, please?
Yes, I move to approve resolution 2021-13 to amend the district approved vendor list with a correction that the correct officers are listed on the signing list, so that Cheryl Munson is listed as the president, Isabel Piedmont Smith as the vice president, and myself as the secretary.
I apologize. That's what happens when you recycle old resolutions.
Yes.
I will make sure that the page that is provided for signatures is correct.
Good, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't catch it earlier to alert you, but my bad. Also.
I didn't catch it at all. I just breezed right over it. So is there any discussion?
Is there a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, is there any public comment? We're ready for a roll call vote then. Mr. McGlasson, please.
Swafford,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Munson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Moving next to the CAC report. Who is going to present this report today?
I am. Mr. Winnie is present to do so.
Hello, Joseph Winia. Thanks for
Hello.
being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. As you can see from the report, there was not a lot of activity. We didn't have quorum at our last meeting, so we still took advantage of the opportunity to discuss a little bit about our next step, which is working on the CAC bylaws, which aren't, to our knowledge, officially adopted with certainty. So we're working to resolve that to make sure that we're in order to operate well going forward. As soon as that's complete, we can return to discussions about assisting the district with implementing the 5-year management plan goals and objectives. Thank you.
Very good. Questions for Mr. Winia? Ms. Githens?
I wondered if there was any feedback from the conference that different CAC members attended.
We have not convened about that yet, but it is my intent to reach out to the others and essentially see what we can draw collectively from what we've observed from them to maybe relay to the rest of the CAC and board if there's interest.
Good. Well, I think we will be interested, so we hope to hear from you on this.
Excellent.
Other questions? Comments? Well, thank you very much. We look forward to hearing from you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Moving to department reports, we'll start with Mr. McGlasson.
Yeah, a few things. Just for everybody, just for informational purposes, we did have the public hearing on the district budget, or the county council had the public hearing on the district's budget on October the 4th, and there were no questions or comments from the public and no additional questions or comments from the council at that hearing. So we are on schedule for, Ms. Munson, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, so the next step is the first reading on October the 18th, and then scheduled vote for adoption on the 19th. So everything looks good with the 2022 budget at this time. I attended the annual Association of Indiana Solid Waste Management Districts Conference on October the 6th. It was an in-person conference this year, which it was good to see everybody, but it was different. You know, we had different colored wristbands as to whether or not you wanted people to keep their distance or were okay with a hug or what have you. But it was different, but still a good conference, a lot of good information, and you know, a lot of good sharing of information between the districts. So we've also staff's initiated some discussions with district legal counsel to look at how we would go about implementing the waste tire program that's a part of next year's budget. We do want to make sure that we do that in accordance with the state statute. It does put some constraints on the district's abilities and the way they have to go about implementing waste management programs. So we want to make sure we stay in compliance with that as we move forward with that. And then staff and the executive committee had a initial discussion at the last executive committee meeting on apartment recycling, and trying to look at ways that the district could do things to promote or improve access to recycling services for apartment residents in our community. I have had, after that, have had an initial discussion with Adam Wason, the City of Bloomington, their Public Works Director, seeing if the city would have any interest in partnering or collaborating with us for those of apartment residents that live in the city. And certainly there's interest on their end, lots of logistics and details to figure out, but I think that there's a broad interest in trying to do something to promote apartment recycling in Bloomington and in Monroe County. So hopefully that will lead to something. One thing that's not in the report that I did want to let the board know, we now have AED devices at all of our recycling centers. And we have training. We've had about a third of our staff has been through first aid, CPR, and AED training. The other two sessions to finish that up are scheduled before the end of October. So we'll have our staff trained on those devices. Hopefully we never need to use them, but they are there. And I'm happy about that. That's taken way too long in my mind for me to get around to making that happen, but we've got it done. So, and that's all that I have on my report. Do want to apologize. There's not a recycling report this month. Mr. Morgan has been unavailable to complete that, but we'll get everybody up to date in next month's meeting packet. And that's all that I have.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. McGlasson? Seeing none, we'll just move to hear from Mr. Paulson about the landfill.
The only, I think the report kind of says for itself, we're finally able to get all the players in play and got the roof fixed, the insulation done, the new blower finished, and all those things so that the treatment plant building is now repaired as of right now and up and tight and good to go. We're back operating and all that kind of stuff. We've had finally dried out enough, and Nate was able to repair some of the erosion things from June and July finally to get those finished and done. Trying to button everything up before fall gets here and we start dealing with more rain and that kind of stuff. And the only thing we're really kind of game planning for now is 2 weeks to November groundwater sampling stuff starts. So we're I'm starting to test equipment and get things cleaned up, getting things buttoned up, ready to go to get that ready to go for that next part. Mary Beth is trying to get her cases ahead of the game so that, you know, we can be out there at the landfill for a couple of weeks without any worries. So, but that's kind of it for right now.
Very good. Questions for Mr. Paulson? I'm seeing none, Mr. Paulson, but I'll ask you a question just to help the public know more. How many times a year do you have to do groundwater testing?
We do the groundwater testing twice a year. Per the post-closure agreement with IDEM, we do it November and May. So
Okay.
those twice a year.
So thank you. I feel like we touch on groundwater testing at many of our meetings, so it's certainly not just two. We hear
Yeah,
you're
it's
going to do it, then we hear that the samples are being processed, and then we get the bill for the processing and all that. So,
correct, absolutely correct. And once because this event is the short list, which is only several thousand parameters of things that they're testing for in the water with all of those things, and all those tests are based on or all the pollutants that they're testing for. Some of those testing things take longer to test for, and by the time they get the report, and then the report goes to AECOM, and the various stages that has to go through take several months. So, but yes. Oh, I also did get the approval letter from the state from Mays. I just got that back like last week. So they're okay with what we've been doing and how we've been doing, and the results are in line with what they've been the past several sampling events. So there's nothing out of the ordinary right now. So we're proceeding as normal.
good. Thank you.
Yep.
So we are now ready for public comment. Is there any public comment? Please use the raise hand symbol if you wish to comment. And I see none except Mr. Winius. So I guess you're public, Mr. Winia. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm at least taking on that role for the moment and just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you for all of the good work that you all do around waste management in general. It's nice to have everyone working diligently to keep such an important thing controlled and monitored. So thank you.
Yeah. So I think we're on a track of making continual improvement. Sometimes they might be small steps, but the trajectory is good, and it's a good group of people we have working at the district, and I'm happy to work with them. So how about comments from directors? Anyone wish to make a comment? Ms. Githens.
I just wanted to put it on the record that we still don't know if next month's meeting will be virtual or will be hybrid.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. McGlasson.
And along those lines, a reminder to the board that because the second Thursday of November, the 11th, is a holiday, the board meeting is scheduled for the first Thursday, the 4th.
First Thursday, the 4th. Okay,
And thus the executive committee meeting will be October 25th.
right. Okay, so very good. If there is nothing else, we'll move to adjourn, and thank you all for attending.